Hi, everyone. We're just getting set up for First Friday. If you can give me a moment to not feel nervous. Okay, I think we're live. Hi, everyone. Okay, we'll let some people roll in. And please send in your questions if you haven't already. Oh, here we go. Okay, we're live. Hi, welcome to First Friday with McEntee Law Group. We are a Chicago-based immigration law firm specializing in family and business immigration, as well as some asylum and removal defense as well. My name is Katherine, and I'm excited to chat with you today about some recent updates in immigration and take your questions as well. Feel free to boop them into the comments, and then I'll be sure to do my best to cover all of your questions. As a reminder, this whole thing should not be considered legal advice. It's general information. I am an attorney. I'm not your attorney. So please, always consult with either a licensed attorney or an accredited representative for your specific situation. Okay, we can start with some immigration updates. There are a few pretty key ones that I wanted to cover. The first one is about employment authorization for certain H-4 and L-2 spouses. Now, just to begin with, historically, if you were someone who was married to an H-1B worker or an L-1 worker living here in the US, you were eligible for a work permit, but you needed to apply for it and receive a card. We call this an EAD card. It's an employment authorization document. And so things became complicated for these folks once it came time to renew their EADs, and they could be waiting months for the approval. Meanwhile, their current work permits are close to expiring or have already expired. And so, long story short, there was a lawsuit, yikes, and a settlement in November that is providing some relief for H-4 and L-2 spouses. Now, the settlement says that certain H-4 and L-2 dependent spouses will get an automatic 180-day extension of their work authorization. And as long as certain conditions are met. The settlement also clarified, though, that L2 spouses are employment authorized just by virtue of their status. And so we also recently learned that at the end of January, CBP, or Customs and Border Patrol, has begun using new admission codes. So these are like when someone comes into the country that's not a US citizen or green card holder, they get like a category put on their record of the basis for their immigrant or non-immigrant status. And for L2 spouses, it looks like CBP has now been utilizing a new code to signify that that person is also eligible to work. So this is like a very recent update. Okay, the next change I wanted to talk about is a policy update to attract and retain talent in STEM fields. So this is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So the Biden administration is implementing new policies that will clarify the eligibility and options for international STEM talent to live and work in the United States, specifically for F1 students, J1 exchange visitors, O1 extraordinary ability non-immigrants, and national interest waiver immigrants. And the point of these changes is to make it to ease the pathway for STEM talent to be able to share their skills and expertise after, completing a degree in the US, conducting research, or applying for a green card. The policy expands the number of fields of study that qualify as STEM degrees. So specifically, there's 22 new fields added to the list. These fields are in inter or multidisciplinary or kind of like emerging fields. So I looked up some of the new areas, and just to give you an example, there's human-centered technology, industrial and organizational psychology, social science methodology, quantitative methods. I don't really know what those are, but if you're in that field, good for you because it's now included on the list. And I would note, this is going to be really important for F1 students because those who earn a STEM degree in the US are eligible for 2 years of a 2-year extension of their post-grad work authorization. So with this new change, more F1 students are going to be able to get that practical experience that could potentially lead to a work visa, which would allow them to, share their skills and expertise with our community. So it's a win-win. It's great. We love to see it. Yeah, that's very exciting. And then the last kind of big thing I wanted to discuss is H-1B cap lottery season is upon us. If you're not aware, H-1Bs are for people working in specialty occupations that require at least a bachelor's in a certain field. And we call it a cap because there's a maximum number of first-time H-1B visas that can be issued per year. 65,000 if you've got a bachelor's and an extra 20 if you have a master's earned in the US. So USCIS recently announced that the registration period for the cap lottery will begin March 1st. And so also, if you weren't aware, this is a lottery system. So your employer will put your name in the hat, and then by the end of the lottery, we'll know who was picked, and we can then submit your H-1B application. So if you're considering H-1B, employers talk to your employees talk to your employers, talk to your attorney because the lottery is right around the corner. It'll be here before you know it. Okay, so we got some questions through Instagram. Let me pull those up right now. Okay. If I marry my US citizen partner, how long before I'm a citizen or can work? It depends. So depending on where you are in the world when you start your marriage-based case, the time that you're going to be allowed to work kind of varies. So before even we get to citizenship, you would be applying for permanent residence or a green card through your spouse. And if you were outside the US when we start the case, you'd have to wait until your immigrant visa was approved and you enter, and then you can work on day one. Now, if you were in the United States when we apply, it looks a little different. You would apply for your work permit along with everything else and wait here to get that work permit. And I don't know if you were asking, but I'll just mention it anyway. Spouses of US citizens can become citizens themselves 3 years after they receive their green card. Okay. Someone would love to know the process from transferring from a J1 to an H1B. I just said the thing about the cap that would apply to you. So definitely, speak to an attorney, us or another attorney about what applying for H1B looks like. And it is very much an employer-driven process. So link up with your employer to work together on that. Okay. Someone previously did a J1, they're moving into an L1B. Can they use their old social security number from their J1? Generally, yes. Your social security number stays with you typically, like, despite your status. So these are two kind of different things. Your social security number is issued, by Social Security Administration, it's a separate thing from your work authorization. So generally speaking, you will have the same SSN throughout your time. Oh, what a question. Is there any hope that processing times will speed up on California? I think you're asking about the California Service Center where certain applications are processed by USCIS. So it depends. It depends on what kind of application you're talking about. But our managing partner, Fiona, was just on a congressional call, and the Biden administration confirmed that they're aware that processing times are really out of control. So that's a commitment they're making to improve the efficiency of USCIS in these next years. But we'll really just have to wait and see. I know California takes a long time. Next question. And I'm flying through, so please send more questions if you have them. What's the process for someone who has served a 10-year ban for overstaying their visa? And what if they want to visit the US on holidays after their ban is over? So this is a big question that I would highly recommend that you talk to an attorney about, because it's very fact specific and case specific. But I can talk generally about it. So it sounds like this person overstayed their visa for a long time, and once they left the country, they triggered what's called the 10-year bar, which prevents someone from being able to come back into the US for 10 years. So this isn't really a clear-cut, I can't give you a clear-cut answer because it just really depends, but you've got to consider how the person would even re-enter, whether it's a tourist visa or a family-based immigrant visa. And if we're thinking about tourists trying to re-enter, or someone on ESTA trying to re-enter after overstaying, I think they will face some challenges for sure. But you would definitely want to talk to an attorney about this to see what other options are. I have a lot of questions for you if you want to talk about it. Okay, somebody asked, let me not mess this up. Okay. Has USCIS processing times for reviewing applications sped up? Some have and some have not. The range is really huge. So, for example, we see applications for advanced parole in some cases get approved in 4 months, and then you have someone waiting for conditions on their green card to be removed, and they're waiting 2 years. So it just really depends on the type of application that you filed and where it's being processed. Okay. Someone asked, do you see any hope for illegal immigrants under Biden? I think what this person is asking is, is there any hope for forms of relief for undocumented individuals? And, just a note, we, at our firm and, the communities that I'm a part of, we don't use the word illegal to refer to a person, because, humans themselves are not illegal. But I know that you're asking a good question, and it sounds like you care. So we say undocumented because it's referring to their status, right? Not their personhood or humanity. But there are efforts in Congress to provide pathways to permanent residence, or pathways to permanent residence for undocumented folks and families, but they are still being worked on. And I guess the question is, do you see any hope? Yeah, I do. I think that this administration is trying to make moves. And I think, more so, I think that people and communities are more committed to seeing change at the federal level. So I see hope, maybe not always from the government, but I see it in communities for sure. Is it possible to apply for my spouse's H4 and H4 EAD with the H cap? Great question. So, rewind to the part when I was talking about work authorization for H4 spouses. Certain H4 spouses can apply for work authorization. It's not everyone. So the person you're married to who's working in H1B status has to have an approved I-140, meaning they have to reach a certain stage in their own green card process for you to be able to get a work permit. So it's possible. It's just not for every single H4 spouse. But great question. Any developments, insights, hopes for DACA initial applications? Unfortunately, those are still on hold. So I know myself and colleagues have a bunch of cases that we were just like ready to file initial DACAs, and so had to hold off on those. But the hope is that there's a more permanent solution with the efforts being made by Congress, so that people aren't living, in these kind of 2-year increments. Really good questions. Okay. I think we have a few more. Someone asked, which one is preferable, F1 or a marriage-based green card? Whoa, knocked over my thing. Well, it depends. That's like an immigration attorney's favorite phrase because they're very different. So an F1 visa or F1 status is for students and it's temporary. As long as you're in school and maintaining, meeting your requirements, you can maintain F1 or you can stay in that status, but it is essentially a temporary status, whereas a marriage-based green card leads to permanent residence and citizenship. So if you're looking for, I guess, permanence and longevity, then, and you have the option, a marriage-based green card is great. Okay. What are processing times for marriage-based green card cases now? Again, it depends. It depends on where your case is being processed and on the specific facts of your case, or if there are any like complicating factors. Even if there aren't, the delays are the reality. I would say an estimate is like a year and a half, maybe. But again, a lot goes into that estimate. Also, I don't know if people know this, but USCIS does publish their estimated processing times on their website, and they are supposed to update them monthly, but you can look at the form that you submitted and the service center that it's being processed at, and it will give you a general idea of how long things are taking. Okay, there's a question from LinkedIn. What are the broad requirements for L1? Is there a financial investment requirement in the new US startup? Okay, I will tell you, I'm not the expert on L1s, but there are 2 ways that you can qualify. It's either by being an executive overall, you're dealing with a foreign company that has a US affiliate or entity, and they're looking to send a worker here. there's kind of two categories that you could fall into. Either you're like an executive or manager at looking to come in, or you have what's called specialized knowledge, and you can demonstrate that. You have to have been working for the foreign company for at least a year prior to applying for the L. But yeah, I'm not that's not, L's aren't totally part of my everyday practice, but we do have attorneys here that work on them all the time. So if you have questions about that, definitely contact us. And kind of on that note, we just started a new calendaring system, which is awesome. So you can go to our website and you can schedule time with us. Our calendars are synced up on there, and you can choose by attorney. So if there's a certain attorney you want to talk to, you can put time on their calendar, or you can choose by practice area. So if you know generally what you want to talk about, you can schedule time with an attorney that way. Okay. I think that might be all the questions. We're so excited to be doing this series, and every month, one of my colleagues is going to be going live to host First Friday, so you'll get to meet everyone on our team. And then next month, Elena, my colleague, is going to be hosting, and she specializes in O1 visas. So these are for folks who possess extraordinary ability in the sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics, or achievements in the motion picture or television industry. So it's the cool visa. And she's going to be hosting First Friday in Spanish. So that's super exciting. Anyway, thank you for joining me. This was my first time, and I can't wait to talk to you guys again. All right. Bye.